literally heard women say, I hate men.
Of course,
literally.
absolutely. And
Death to the patriarchy.
A lot of these ideas of what you think misandry is are just your misogynistic instincts and assumptions being exposed.
Yeah, so now you're assuming that I'm misogynistic
I'm not
because
assuming.
Yeah, you are.
I'm not assuming. That was not an assumption. I gave you a very clearly
You're
rhetorical
demonstrating
path.
it right now.
Really?
Yeah.
Really, I hate men. That's literally the definition.
Do you think he's misogynistic?
Yeah, probably. I think we all are a little bit, some more than others.
Well, well, well. It's about to get real controversial today. What makes a real man? 50 men debate. Middle ground. All right. It's about to be intense. I can already tell. Look at all these men. All different shapes, sizes, colors. It's going down.
Yeah.
All right, it's 2025. Trump is president, and we're back with another Middle Ground XL. Behind me, I have 25 traditional men and 25 progressive men. We're going to ask them some questions, and we're going to see if they can find a middle ground. Our first question is, should it be socially acceptable for men to wear skirts?
Should it be socially acceptable for men to wear skirts? So by socially acceptable, we're just saying like people are okay with it, nobody criticizes it, or are we saying that there should be no law against it? What do we mean by socially acceptable?
Me personally, I like fashion. I tried to dress nice today.
You did dress nice today.
Thank you, thank you. I'm wearing a woman's sweater right now. This is from Brandy Melville. But background, in my culture, like I'm Native Hawaiian, men have traditionally worn skirts. We go back to other cultures, Japan, long gowns. Traditionally, men have been seen in history to be wearing the same clothes that women do now, and America is a much younger society than any of these cultures that have dated.
Now, there's truth to what he's saying. Now, they're in different cultures. Men dress different. It just is what it is. It's subjective to say what kind of clothing goes to a man, what kind of clothing goes to a woman, depending on the culture that you live in. So there is something there, and I'm sure they're going to unpack this a little bit more. So let's keep it going.
Back thousands and thousands of years.
Okay, so first I'd like everyone to take a second and take a look at the fellas and what they're wearing over there. Let's be so real right now. How are they going to argue about what fashion? Yeah, about what fashion is supposed to mean in a manly sense or traditional sense?
It's the Scotland and in India, they wear dhotis. They're not wearing skirts because they think they're a woman. Here in America, that's the reason that they're wearing skirts. Is because they are trying to project that they are a female or the opposite sex or gender fluidity or any of that, and it's just nonsense. No.
I mean, there's some truth to that as well. It's not in all cases, but I would say that we know the norm in American culture. We know how men dress or have traditionally dressed, in American culture, and we know how some men want to go against the norm, go against the grain, go against the tradition, right? And then dress as women dress in America, and then vice versa now. But so there's really no fine line here. It's all over the place right now, right, in the time that we're living in. But I will say that there are cases where men are trying to portray as a woman, and I don't think that's necessarily a good thing, depending on, if you're more trad or woke, you know what I'm saying? So I'll let you guys guess which side I lean on. Let me know in the comments where you think I'm at.
It depends on your intention. It depends on your culture. If your intention is to be feminine, right? Obviously, it's not right.
Who's society to tell us what to do, bro, right? I thought we were all about, like, the government not interrupting.
When it comes to just masculinity in general, like, I'm in the camp of you provide for your wife, you protect her, you should be a pillar. Any sign of, like, wearing a skirt or something like that, like, obviously, bro, like, it's not the move.
This is kind of representative of a general idea of what a man is supposed to be in terms of how we dress, how we conduct ourselves in public. I think most men look at what a man is supposed to dress like and look at that and see, well, now I have to justify the difference between that and me.
Clothing is not gendered. We make it gendered. Anything that we're wearing could be a woman's whatever. So we put titles on things, and I got a feeling nobody over there is gonna have any argument against any one of us.
The progressive men are gonna say, it doesn't matter what you wear. You can wear any dress, you can wear a skirt, you can wear this. In the same vein, they would say it doesn't matter what language you speak, it doesn't matter what religion you speak. And as traditional men, we disagree with that. We wanna have a cohesive society that we speak similar things, we believe similar things, we have a sense of community in all of the things that we wear.
that is somewhat important. You do want to have a cohesive society. Obviously, diversity is good, and we need diversity, but we need to be cohesive in the sense that we can function well as a society. I do think that we need to have a distinction between men and women, male and female, that it should be easily recognizable and that we shouldn't blur those lines, because I think that does have the potential to do more harm than good in society and just how we perceive people. We need a clear balance of what is this and what is that, you know what I'm saying, so that we can function properly. Once we start blurring those lines, we get all kind of gray areas that we can't really account for, and then things start to get a little bit chaotic, right? And that's really the issue, right? Like, order is a good thing. Chaos, generally speaking, is a bad thing. We need as much order as we can while still allowing diversity and freedom. You see what I'm saying? But when you go against all order, when you try to fight against order so much so that you kind of lose the order that's keeping you grounded and stable, that's not good for a society, you know. And at that point, it's not even about being misogynistic or feminist or whatever. The argument I'm making right now is just simply what's best for a society and how we can function properly, how we can dwell amongst one another, how we can contribute, right? We need some type of distinction between male and female, and trying not to blur those lines just for the sake of blurring those lines. I mean, be real with me, guys. Like, there's no real reason why certain individuals should really be wanting to blur those lines. There's nothing noble there. There's nothing worthwhile to try to blur those lines, right? It's just a fad. It's just a fleeting passion that there's suddenly come upon them, right? A rebellion against the norm, feeling like you're challenging the system, right? Like, most of the time it's something like that, and that's not always a good thing, guys. Okay, we don't want to blur lines that should be clear to see, that actually contribute to society.
What they're saying is actually the anti-social stance, where everybody does what they want and nobody has a sense of community. So we need to hit on that. Whoever speaks, not just about the skirt, because the skirt it's the detail, and that's unimportant.
We are rooted in some kind of greater faith that defines masculinity, the man as a role. He is under God, he is serving his family, and he is the creator of his society and the perpetuator of said values.
Yo, it's simple, bro.
So I know some of you watching this video don't like what that guy just said, but there is value in having a foundational structure on reality, on how things should be. Something foundational, something objective, right? There's value there, right? If there's an objective standard that says this is what a man is, and this is what a man does, and this is how a man acts, and this is how a man looks, that's valuable. We need something to ground us. We need some tangible form of reality that we can lean back on when life starts to get cloudy. That's just important, guys. It's just fundamental, okay? It's fundamental.
Skirts are for women.
We should also talk about, what does it look like if it's not socially acceptable? What does that mean? Point out how in practice, if it's not socially acceptable, that means we're shaming people, we're bullying people, we're excluding people, and I don't think anyone agrees that's a good thing.
Okay, so let me offer a challenging thought right there. So if we need to keep lines from being blurred for the betterment of society so that society can continue to thrive, and we need to keep lines from being blurred for that great cause, then it would then become necessary that there would be some type of pushback against that which threatens society thriving, which would involve people criticizing or pointing out that which threatens society. That's a necessary evil in that sense. It's not even evil, right? But if we want to call it evil, it's a necessary evil. We need deterrence against things that would blur lines, that would hurt society. So when this guy says, oh, that means we're shaming people, that means we're this people, that means we're that people, yeah, maybe so. And the degree of that would be in accordance with the degree of the threat, right? So I don't think it should be that severe, obviously. We should shame a P word, for example, a person, right, who does things with minors. They should be shamed. They should be definitely penalized severely, right? However, if a man wears a skirt, there should be some type of pushback there if we're trying to keep the lines clear and not blurred so that society can continue to thrive. You see what I'm saying? We have to have a mature understanding of things that are necessary in this broken and fallen world to keep things going smoothly.
And Riley. Should it be socially acceptable for men to wear skirts? You've got 8 minutes to find a middle ground between the two of you. Go for it.
Well, I believe that men can wear whatever they want, and pertaining to skirts, particularly, I am a native Hawaiian person. Traditionally, in the culture that goes further back than America itself, men wear skirts. Japan, men wear long gowns.
It's
Kilts.
not called a skirt though, specifically.
I know,
It's
but
called something else.
again, it's just different
Like, I'm
cultural
Muslim,
norms.
I wear a thobe sometimes.
Yes, but it's
Like some
cultural
cats in the
norms.
military, I've roomed with guys in the military, and they say like I had to shoot the dude in the dress. So it's like, nah, like, do I take it personal? No. That's just according to that group of people, that's what they call it, right? Like, I wouldn't call a kilt a skirt.
Okay.
No, that's a cultural symbol. What a skirt means in today's society is different. But go ahead, I'm sorry for cutting you off.
I mean, yeah, like I was saying, traditionally, cultures that go further back, where clothing only has the meaning that we set to it. So, you know, if I someday decide that your skinnier pants are feminine because I got baggier pants, right?
Yeah.
Then I can do I get to ridicule you for that? Do I get to outcast you for that? That's just my question. Again, going back.
So a response to that, right, is if we come together as a society and we decide that we need clear lines between male and female, that's what happened. That's how we got here to where we are today, obviously. It's natural. It just happens because it's necessary, right? Nobody was told to do that. This is how we function. This is how we survive as a society. So if we come together and we decide that a man should look like this and a woman should look like this in terms of how they dress so that we can keep clear distinctions, then we've decided then as a society that this is what's best for our society. That means that no one individual person can come along and just start saying, well, I don't agree. I think that men should look like this and women should look like this. Well, if the society at large agrees to it and it's suitable and beneficial and it maintains those clear lines still between male and female, maybe we can have a conversation. But if the one individual comes along and starts to blur those lines, that person can't sit there and claim that they're right just because, oh, we should all have a freedom of opinion and we should all be able to decide what we think is true, and right, it's all subjective and I have the right to call what you're wearing what I want to call it. Well, you can do that, but you don't have the right to do things that would potentially threaten the structure of a healthy society. You don't have that right. And so depending on how much of a risk or threat we think this individual is posing to that, there should be some type of pushback.
Why is it not socially acceptable?
What it represents is that's femininity, yo. Like there's no question about it. Like if you're a dude walking around in a black leather skirt, like you're saying a lot. Like Jaden Smith is one of them cats that was on Vogue. Like like we've seen what a skirt represents as a man, at least in North American culture and even some Asian cultures. Like I've been to South Korea. There are a lot of hyper feminine men out there. The only thing that I didn't see in South Korea was cats putting on makeup in the mirror. But for some reason, whenever I go outside, I see hella cats wearing makeups, foundation, eyeliner, all that stuff.
So femininity is negative? And for men to express
but
is it okay to express feminine things? What do you think about my nail polish? What do you think about my skinny watch?
Me personally, bro, I ain't rocking like that.
Okay, that's cool. That's great. But I am. So is there anything wrong with that?
That's a feminine trait that maybe you want to exude about yourself.
Okay.
Now, like, if we walk down the street, like, I may interact with you a little bit differently just because, like, I see the fact that you're wearing nail polish.
What does that mean? Like,
well,
would you...
generally, bro, like, whenever cats are, like, wearing nail polish, they're a little bit more hyper feminine.
Okay.
They may try to hit on you or just other stuff in general.
Okay.
So it's like...
So you're afraid, No,
I'm not afraid.
Even outward expression of femininity does not define sexuality. I mean... Like, there's a lot of straight guys out.
Once again, see, that's why I come at this from a different angle. Societally speaking, it is blurring the lines between male and female, and it becomes a potential threat to society down the road if we continue to build upon these types of rebellious actions, right? As society has deemed this is a man, this is a woman, and somebody just says, hey, I'm going to go against the grain, and I'm going to do this because I just want to. All right, cool, but are you contributing to society or potentially threatening society as a result? That's where they should be arguing from, not necessarily trying to make the point if a guy has fingernail polish, he might try to hit on you. That's not a strong argument because these guys don't even believe there's anything wrong with that. A guy hitting on another guy, they don't think nothing's wrong with that. And so it's hard to argue with people who don't have those moral values. But I think everybody would agree that we want a healthy and thriving society and that we want to prevent and resist anything that could potentially harm that. I think everybody would agree to that. And so that's where I would make my argument from.
There are a lot of, people who are in emo punk scene wearing black nail polish for fun. People who wear lots of rings completely straight, and it
but
doesn't
it's
matter.
The representation though of what that
What
means.
does that mean, though?
So like a guy wearing he's obviously counterculture, right?
Yeah.
Like if he's like the emo punk kind of guy. Also like borderline devil worship at times.
Devil worship?
Yeah,
Well,
that can be clearly associated with it with a pentagram. A skirt isn't indicative of what a masculine man should represent in today's society. We got a lot of over feminization of a lot of guys. Like being a solid man that your wife can look to, or whoever that you're taking care of can look to and be like, yo, that's my pillar. Like if something going wrong in my life, they got me. And if you're walking around wearing a skirt, bro, okay, there might be cats that can walk around wear a skirt and they solid to the people that they can take care of, right? But the exception isn't the rule. Most cats walking around in a skirt, bro, they're not super breaded up. They're just cats trying to express themselves sexually because they've given up on the financial part.
I mean, I feel like a lot of people who express
So my guy here, he's making a lot of generalizations, I guess I would say, and it's kind of hurting his argument. I get where he's coming from, and I do think in general, when you see a guy who is expressing feminine, they're not normally going to be holding it down in the sense of what a traditional man should look like and how they should be holding it down. In general, we can see that. I think there is some truth to that, but once again, that's not the main argument, right? That's not the main argument, even though you could see it in a lot of cases, and then those types of men are not necessarily contributing to society in the way that we would deem most efficient, necessarily providing or necessarily protecting or instilling societal values into their children that keep those lines from being blurred, right? They might be actually teaching their children then to rebel against the norm, to blur the lines, right? And then you get years and years down the line and it has a major impact on our society in a way that actually could bring harm. So I don't mean any negativity towards these types of men, but I would say, just objectively speaking, it's not the best thing in the world for our society when we blur those lines.
It's easier to be broke.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like a lot of people who express feminine traits, and have been, in the media for wearing skirts. Harry Styles is the biggest example. You think he's not breaded up? You think Young Thug is not breaded up? Like people like that?
Yeah, but at what cost though? Like now you're starting to tap into the fact of it's pretty obvious and it's out in the open now that a lot of these rappers, a lot of these cats grabbing ankles. These same dudes that wear skirts are the same ones that were popping up at the Diddy parties. They holding hands with Diddy, calling him.
So they're breaded up. He's right. The feminine men that he just showed, Harry Styles, Young Thug, are breaded up. But why are they breaded up? What are they being rewarded for? What are they being compensated for? Well, part of it is their femininity. They're being compensated for pushing that message, pushing that agenda, which once again, I keep saying, is potentially harmful to a society being healthy and thriving because you're blurring lines between male and female. So they're being paid to damage society. Essentially, that's what's happening. So it's not a good argument just to say, oh, look at these feminine men. They're breaded up.
Daddy.
I mean, again, this kind of just goes back to the argument that a lot of people try to push
that's feminization.
that gay people are groomers
Nah,
and they're
then on top of that, bro, like I get it, bro. Like I get like it's a cool piece of clothing. Like my pops, he owned a fashion label. He did it in the '90s where he exclusively designed women's clothing out of Egyptian silk. I totally get it. From a fashion perspective for a woman, like bro, it's amazing. Like bro, I think a woman looks good in a maxi skirt. But I'm saying I don't think a dude should be walking around rocking that.
And I guess my question to you to dig deeper is, should this be, mandated? Should you, bully people who are wearing skirts?
It shouldn't be open, common practice being taught to kids like, hey, bro, go to school wearing a skirt. Like, I'll tell you right now, like, the time me growing up in East Oakland, you go to school wearing a skirt, it's going to be rough for you.
I mean, I'm not going to disagree
it's gonna be
with
real
you on
rough.
that, but we should break down that stigma of people having to be scared of what they choose to wear. No, because...
Well, see? Should you not be scared to do something that is potentially damaging or harming, threatening a healthy society that you're a part of? Should you not be scared to do that? I'll make an argument that you should. There has to be deterrence against that which would bring chaos and disrupt order in a way that would damage society, damage a group of people, damage a country. There has to be deterrence. These guys are not understanding. This is immature thinking. This is not comprehending the world that we live in and how we must manage evil, how we must manage chaos. Chaos is continually trying to intrude the order that belongs in this world, right? And we're spending our whole lives essentially trying to manage that chaos from taking over. So yeah, somebody should have some hesitation if they're thinking about doing something that's gonna usher in chaos and disrupt order and potentially harm an entire society. They should have some type of fear.
If, like you said, I should be scared coming, to where you're saying wearing a skirt or feminine attire or accessories or anything like that. So should people have to fear for self-expression?
So I'll explain to you this, right? Like I was a shooting specialist at Banana Republic for almost 2 years, right? And like, dude, like I see a whole bunch of cats walk in there, different arrays, different budgets, you know what I'm saying? And I'm helping them get to where they gotta get. More than likely, man, like the cats that I saw wearing skirts, man, those ain't the kind of guys that like, the cat like me would wanna rock with. Like the cats that I rock with, they're solid through and through. Like I'm a business owner, I'm also a professional fighter. So it's like, nah, bro, like just that kind of energy, it's not conducive for me to be around. Because I need to cultivate a certain kind of mindset, a certain kind of atmosphere around myself in order to achieve what I believe is peak to what I need to be.
Okay, so Riley, based on kind of what you're hearing coming from Juma, what do you think is a middle ground statement that you think you could both agree on, or that you want him to agree on?
I would like for you to agree on that men should be able to express themselves. In fact, anybody should be able to express themselves however they want, skirt, nail polish, whatever. And that it should be.
We're focused on
okay,
skirt, not the nail polish.
Men should be able to wear a skirt, and it can have a positive stigma around it if they so decide.
If culturally, they come from a culture. In Muslim tradition, right, there's this wrap that you can wrap
I'm not even
around
talking
your
about
waist. Some people would call that a skirt. So like that kind of cultural thing, no problem. But we're talking about North American problems. We're not talking about every other place.
So what's the middle ground that you think?
The middle ground
Riley.
is culturally, if that's where your family is from, rep where your family from. Rep your culture, rep your set, whatever it is, right? But you as a man, if that's something that you want to do, bro, by all means, bro, just not that close to me, though. It's good.
Well, I disagree. I think that men...
See, those words sound hateful, and these guys are laughing, right? But yeah, if you got a man that's wearing a skirt and they're coming into your house around your kids, and then your kids are now thinking that it's okay for men to wear a skirt, and we're blurring those lines between male and female, then you're perpetrating that chaos once again coming into society, right? And so, yeah, I have the right as a man and as a father to say, hey, I don't want, first off, I don't want to be influenced by this, and second off, I don't want my kids to be influenced by this. Matter of fact, that would be the first off. I don't want my kids to be influenced by this because I believe a certain way is better for our society than this way that you're choosing to express. And so I don't want that around me. That's not hate. That's simply trying to protect what you believe is valuable while still treating the person who's expressing themselves in this feminine way with respect. Just simply saying, I don't want my kids to be around that. and I prefer not to be around that. You have the right to do that without being hateful.
Should be able to express themselves however they want, and that's it. I don't think there should be any, especially clothes.
But what I'm hearing is, even if you don't agree that it should be, that you think it's socially acceptable, I have heard you say that men should be allowed to wear skirts if that's how they want it. You know, if that's what they want to do.
If that's what Brett wants to do, by all means. But I'm saying from like a cultural, religious perspective, it's not conducive to what a good nation trying to bring stronger individuals into the world should be doing.
See, there's a background to this. It's not because you just don't like the clothes, right? What do you think? Like, I don't understand that you think it makes someone less of a man, less masculine, and that in turn makes them weaker for wearing a skirt.
In North American culture, I do not believe that it's acceptable for a man to wear a skirt. I'm not going to find a middle ground in between on that.
I like to propose.
I think if you're going against what society has deemed productive, beneficial, efficient, helpful, healthy, you're a weak link in that society. That's just period, right? If we need a society full of people who are going to all contribute to the betterment of that society, and then you have the few in that bunch that want to go against that and do their own thing, that speaks of a weakness in terms of loyalty, in terms of sacrifice, in terms of duty, right, to the betterment of the society. That speaks of a level of selfishness that exists in a person who wants to go against what society has deemed to be good and productive. You see what I'm saying? So yeah, there is a weakness in that, whether it be a man or a woman choosing to go against society and what's deemed to be good. That person is a weak link in that society. I'm sorry to say it, but that's just true. It doesn't mean that they're weak as a person, maybe, right? That's debatable. But they are a weakness to the society that is moving in a certain direction, and now they're moving in the opposite direction. That's a weakness. We all need to be on the same page.
Suppose that it's okay for a man to wear whatever he chooses.
If that's what you believe, I respect you enough to agree with you on that part. But me personally, like you as an individual, if you want to do that, by all means, bro. But nah, not for North American culture. It means something different here.
So is that you saying that that doesn't work as a middle ground statement?
No, we're not going to find a middle ground.
I think we can leave it at that. We gave it a good try. Shake hands and let's start.
I still respect you, though. Handle your business.
And that might actually be the middle ground, right? I disagree with what you're doing. I think it's harmful to our society, but I still respect you, and I'm still going to treat you with dignity. I think that is the middle ground in most of these scenarios. We don't have to agree, but we can still respect each other and love each other. But part of my love is telling you, hey man, we're in this together, and I think you're threatening what we have going on here as a society. Out of love for him and out of love for the community, the society, we should probably speak up against these things respectfully and lovingly, and I think that's a noble thing.
We did not find a middle ground in that last prompt, but thank you to Juma and Riley for giving it a try.
Man, this is a tough topic, but let me give you guys a little bit of a biblical take on this one. Here's a whole nother perspective. 1 Timothy 2, 9 through 10 says, I also want the women to dress modestly with decency and propriety, adorning themselves not with elaborate hairstyles or gold or pearls or expensive clothing, but with good deeds appropriate for women who profess to worship God. So that passage there, as I've studied about this topic of modesty, right, speaks of a person's character. It speaks of a person who has humility, who has dignity and self-respect, and this person dresses in accordance with what is a humble. They're not seeking to steal the show. They're not seeking to steal attention, right? They're not causing a disruption, right? But this person is dressing in accordance with the culture, in accordance with what would be considered modest, right? They're not, and another part of modesty would be They're not dressing sexually in a way that could provoke the opposite sex. It could be a woman or a man doing this, right? Because that could also harm society. This is just common sense, guys. Look, man, look. If a society should thrive on on families, healthy families, a male and a female, clear distinctions, marriage between a male and a female, clear distinctions, so that they're able to reproduce. That's obviously that's important, right? And that this family should be a strong, cohesive unit. But then you go out into the market and you see a male or a female dressed sexually and provocatively. What do you think's eventually going to happen? Marriages are going to be broken up. If marriages are broken up, families are broken up. Then you lose the stability of the family. Now the children are not being raised with structure. Now the children have been affected by chaos entering into the household. They grow up, grow older, and they have these traumas, right? They have these habits, they have these characteristics that stem from what this evil that has happened, right? And then they're spreading and perpetuating more chaos. And then what happens if that continues and continues for decades, generations and generations? The society falls apart. So it's something as simple as how you dress, if it's provocative, whether you're male or female, ultimately could affect the entire civilization. We've seen this, guys. We've seen this where small actions that are not managed, right, by this standard of decency, modesty, humility, right, things like that, whether these societies fall apart. We got Sodom and Gomorrah in the Bible. We have ancient Rome, right? You could see how these societies fell apart because there was no structure. Chaos was allowed to reign and rule in these areas, and it brought them down. And so the smallest things can have a major effect on a society continuing to thrive and be healthy. I hope you guys realize the bigger picture here. And so that's a biblical take on that the women in this context, but also it applies to men, should dress modestly with decency, propriety, not adorning themselves with elaborate hairstyles, gold and pearls, expensive clothes, trying to stand out, trying to steal the show, creating jealousy, creating envy, right? That allows opportunity for chaos to come in, right? Instead, they should adorn themselves with good deeds, helping the poor, raising godly children, loving your neighbor, contributing to society. That should be what you're dressed with, what you're adorned with. That should be what you value more than how you look and how you can stand out from everybody else and how you can go against the grain and how you can go against the norm, right? And rebel against the societal standard, right? Be your own person and express yourself. Oh my God, right? Like that type of thinking does not work in a world where you live with human beings, where you're all connected and everything we do affects one another. We don't live in an isolated world. We're not isolated. Our actions affect everybody around us. That's why these things are in place. So that's the biblical take on that. So I hope something I said made some sense here. You know, I think I fall more on the side of a traditional man. I think you guys could tell that by now. So what do you guys think? Should men be allowed to wear skirts? Should it be socially accepted for men to wear skirts? Let me know what you think in the comments. This is Gary D. Pod. I've enjoyed my time with y'all. I hope y'all enjoyed y'all's time with me. If you liked the video, give me a thumbs up. Go ahead and subscribe. I would love to talk to you again. Hey, I love you guys, and y'all have a blessed day. Peace out.